What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Daily Dose with Dylan Davis. I'm your host, Dylan Davis. The Daily Dose is brought to you by the Pain Lines Network. So if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button on wherever you're streaming from right now. We're coming to you live through YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Today, I'm joined by my man, Scotty. You can follow him on Twitter at Scotty Drowned. It's another edition of Mondays with Scotty. Ginn is not able to be with us today. He's coaching basketball. He's Mr. Popular around his parts. So, Ginn, if you're watching, go ahead, tune in, because on today's show, we are going to be talking about your boy, Mr. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. They did not participate in the All-Star game or the All-Star festivities last night, Scotty, due to close contact tracing that I believe started Saturday for them from their barber. So I guess that's where we'll start tonight. What are your thoughts on Ben and Joel, their reaction, I guess? Because I'll get my point out very quickly, because I don't know if it's going to be the same as yours. I think everyone's overreacting, because I don't mean because the COVID from them having COVID. If they have it. What I'm talking about is blaming the NBA. All I saw were quote tweets yesterday of the report saying, this is no one wanted this game. This is a pointless game. Why are you no other sports having it? Okay. You could make the argument that they only went to get, to look good for the game, for All-Star Weekend on national TV, all that stuff. I get it. It happened in Philly before they went to Atlanta. They're getting their haircuts either way, so they're still going to a barber, and no other issues occurred with what went on last night. No other players had close contact tracing. No other players tested positive for COVID. No other interruptions went on. This, to me, was just not related to the NBA All-Star game in itself, and that's all I saw yesterday. Scott, what's your opinions on the reactions to Joel and Ben being out?
Yeah. I just thought, the energy just needs to be redirected. It sucks. I mean, of course, you don't want to see your two-star players getting linked to COVID tracing and, having to sit out of an all-star game and not represent the city. But you have to redirect that negative energy. It's not the NBA's fault that these guys, that their barber, didn't cover his, cross his T's. So, if the they were good, like you said, the barber was going to be there regardless. Their barber, their personal barber. It's not a barber in Atlanta. It's not an NBA funded barber. It's nothing like that. It's just their personal barber. Whether it's in Philly, New Jersey, wherever they go in this area. So they were going to get a haircut regardless. It's not like they're letting their hair go all over the place. Right. It was a bad job by their barber. If he had been in contact, he should have, anytime you're cutting these guys' hair, anybody's hair, he should be getting checked after every haircut in reality. Or I wouldn't say after every haircut, but after every day of cutting hair, right. In a sense. But just being on top of it, it's just a really inconvenient thing. And it's a really ironic thing to happen. But redirect the energy. It wasn't a failure on the NBA, as far as All-Star Weekend. They had a success. No positive tests from the actual, if you
event.
Want to call it a bubble in Atlanta.
Right.
No positive tests from coaches, players, staff, anybody. So that was a success. And, in reality, I'm not going to lie to everybody that's watching. I didn't think they should have an All-Star Weekend. I didn't think they should have an All-Star game. I did think it was.
That's fair. Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, it was a success. They were able to raise money for charity. They got through the weekend without any positive tests. And the other side of it is that Ben and Joel are returning negative tests as well. So it's not even like this frantic thing where we have to, be super worried that they're going to miss some time with actually having COVID. So if they brought back a positive test, then yeah, I'd probably be a little bit more worried. I mean, but that would be for totally different reasons, not about the NBA and All-Star Weekend. So yeah, to answer your question, I'm with you. I think it was just an overreaction altogether.
Look, I completely agree with you. I wouldn't have had one either. You're right. It was a success. They were able to raise a lot of money. But I probably wouldn't have had it. If you want to name your all-stars for, just like the NFL named people to the Pro Bowl, but they didn't have a Pro Bowl.
Give your honors for
Right.
sure. I mean, mid-season, it'd be mid-season awards, basically.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
however, I just felt like the contact tracing was so unrelated to the event. I get it. Well, they wouldn't have been that. They what if they didn't go to what if they didn't either get their haircut in a normal week, but because this was coming up, they went that day. I get it. Okay, if you want to try to make that argument, go ahead. It didn't happen in Atlanta in the bubble. Joel and Ben weren't being irresponsible. No other issues COVID related happened throughout the NBA or the other players or staff or like you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So, and dude, the moment Shams reported it, it was quote tweet after quote tweet after quote tweet from fans, media, writers, everything.
Yeah.
And I get it, dude. I'm all for, if Adam Silver screws up and you want to get on him, like earlier in the year when we had a play with 7 dudes basically, and you're seeing these other teams get cancellations, and I get all that. This, probably not the same thing.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. Just you need to hope that they don't test positive.
What it shows me, and this is like a great point altogether of this whole situation and the overreaction is that, people need to start actually reading, stuff that they're retweeting, stuff that they're responding to, like actually read it and understand what's happening. And you just wouldn't even have this overreaction. I mean, they just clearly don't comprehend what was said. And I think that's a great point when we're talking about sports media, sports in Philadelphia in general. Make sure you understand and comprehend what you're reading and what is actually being said. Because maybe that's Sham's fault for maybe I don't know. I just didn't take it as an NBA thing. I took it as a very inconvenient, disappointing situation that is really unavoidable. I mean, you're going to All-Star Weekend. I'm going to get a haircut too. If I was, you know what I mean?
Everybody did.
Yeah, and
it just so happened
to a personal barber. So
it just so happened that their personal barber tested positive for COVID. LeBron's didn't. You see CP3's? He just got shaped up 2 days ago.
Right, man.
His barber didn't test. I think to your point about reading it, I think like just us being Philly fans or media is the way he worded it. He connected Joel and Ben contact tracing, and in the same tweet was All-Star. NBA All-Star Game weekend. And I think that got people riled up. If the tweet would have just been Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons are in quarantine due to close contact tracing with their personal barber, you probably don't get that reaction.
Right.
But because it was compacted with NBA All-Star Weekend, COVID, people freaked out. That's the reason. Now, look, dude, I don't know. I know to get vaccinated. Scott, you just got your first vaccination, right? My mom got both her doses. My grandparents, I believe, just got vaccinated today or tomorrow. I think today. There's criteria that you're supposed to have to meet or whatever. So I get it. They're supposed to be young and healthy and in the best shape. So but to Abe's point there, they're traveling for work every single day. These are multi-billion dollar corporations in the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, all that stuff. They can't find a way to get vaccinated.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense when you're forcing these guys to travel. You didn't want to institute like a quad bubble or whatever. I saw a bunch of ideas before the season. You didn't want to work on anything like that. So you got to do something to be proactive and get ahead of it. It's just, I mean, I signed up. My girlfriend's a nurse in Philadelphia, so she gave me a link to sign up. And they would basically reach out to me whenever it's available. And they finally reached out to me. It was probably a month later and let me know that I could come in this past Sunday yesterday. Went in, boom, got my vaccination. So, if it's that easy for me, I'm a 27-year-old guy, regular dude. I do have asthma, but I wasn't high risk or anything like that. There's no reason these guys can't get. I work from home. Why am I getting the vaccination? These guys can't get a vaccination.
Yeah, dude.
That doesn't make sense. So, yeah, I totally agree with Abe Link there. Honest Abe.
He never tells a lie.
Exactly, man. I have to agree there. Yeah, there's no reason why they can't get that vaccination to all these guys.
All right, let's get to a more basketball side of it with this thing. So tell me if I'm wrong, if you know something, Scotty. So Doc said the testing for Joel and Ben started Saturday. So the 5-day marker starts Saturday. If they test negative for the next 5 days or from that Saturday point for 5 days, they should be good to go.
Yeah.
Which means they could be good to go for the Chicago game. Maybe they missed the Chicago game and then they're back. However, one of them tests positive. That throws a wrench into this Sixers season because you look at it just from the time they're going to miss Seth missed 2 weeks?
Yeah.
They could miss 6 to 8 games probably if one of them tests positive. B, from a COVID and human perspective, I'm not trying to jump to conclusions or talk about something I really don't know that much about. But when you look at Joel Embiid, 290, 275 pounds, whatever he is, he's been sick a lot. So clearly he doesn't have the greatest immune system. You think back to the Toronto series 2 years ago. How does that affect him, man, coming back? Steph Curry still talks about how, getting back into shape and his breathing and all that stuff and getting winded. How's that going to affect 7'1", 290-pound Joel Embiid, who might not have the best immune system? So I'm praying from a personal standpoint and also from a Sixers fan standpoint that these two continue to test negative, and because this season has been a lot of fun. And that Jazz game, coming off that overtime winner with that performance, to think, he's going to be out for 8 games now. That's rough, Scott. So what are your thoughts on how this could affect the Sixers? Let's say they do miss a lot of time or miss some time.
Yeah. I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. If they miss time, and especially if they miss time in the second half of this season, because we have a way tougher schedule, in my opinion, to start out this second half of the season. The second half of the season is just jam-packed with Eastern Conference playoff teams, for one. And so you're looking at, if they miss time, if they miss 2-3 weeks even from this situation, that could move us, however many games down the line.
4 or 5 seed.
4 or 5 seed we're looking at, because you look at the Eastern Conference, they're bunched up, by about 4 or 5 wins. 1 through 8. I mean, 1 through 5, I would say 1 through 6 maybe. They're bunched up within a 6 or 7 game span right there. So you drop, 3-4 games, because I don't see us winning without Ben and Joel Embiid, and I honestly don't care who we're playing. I don't know if we can win without them.
I agree. I don't know how they beat Chicago Thursday if they don't have either of them.
Yeah, and you look at Chicago, they're a team that's at the bottom of the East right now. Then you got the Wizards, Spurs, Knicks. Then you get into the Bucks, and
they're all playing tough.
Right there as well.
The Spurs have been playing good ball. The Knicks are a 4 seed right now. You don't know. It's scary. Dude. I don't.
Yes, I mean, look at that. You have the Knicks in 2 games within a couple weeks span there. About a 2-week span there. You play the Knicks twice. They're in the same division in the playoffs right now, in the playoff picture. You drop 2 games to them, that could mean a lot for all we know, at this point. So, if you pray and you hope, because even Ben, I mean, recently was just dealing with that flu sickness, and we were all kind of sick, sickness. I don't know if I want to see that. So, both of these guys, bigger guys, and then you take it to a point with Embiid where he's got a newborn child, living with him as well. So all around, just a really sketchy situation. They really need to cross their T's with this, because, you don't want something like what happened with Durant to happen, where they come back and then something comes back, and then now you have multiple guys that have been in contact with Joel Embiid and Ben. So you want to be 100% sure before you bring them back with the team to practice, to the games. You have to be sure, because you don't want it to spread to the rest of the team, and now you're forfeiting games.
Well, to your point, also, not even forfeiting if you could, get cancellations, like they haven't been around anyone. So it was simply just be those two or one of those two out, because heading into the All-Star break, they haven't been around Tobias and Seth and everyone else. So you wouldn't get any cancellations. You wouldn't get any favors. People were like, oh, well, are they going to get a favor, because they didn't help us out early? No, because it's only two dudes.
Yeah, no, not a chance.
Matt is coaching. It might be a playoff game today, Nadir. Matt is coaching ball right now. Let's get into this, Scott. Mark says, should they even have an All-Star game? To me, not worth watching. Just have slam dunk, 3-point, and skills. So let's talk about All-Star weekend. We could circle back around to the Sixers side of things later if we want to. How'd you like it, man? How did you guys like it? Comment with us. Tell me how you. I guess Mark isn't a fan of the game. Here's the thing. For a certain amount of time, I was like, dude, like I don't like watching any of the All-Star games outside of baseball because it's kind of meaningful. Yeah. The Pro Bowl's awful, in my opinion. But recently, I've started to like the NBA All-Star game. I get it. There's no defense. Great. But, dude, the pace and the speed at which they were playing at last night, like just from the jump, and then just like it was crazy to me how many three bangers were going down. Steph's pulling up from the logo from midcourt, basically. Dame ended it by half court, basically. Just at the pace they were playing at, it was just like, I don't know. It was really, really fun to watch, unless you like. Or unless you're invested in the defensive side of basketball. So what were your thoughts on the game? And then we can get into each of the competitions.
Yeah, so I thought the game was actually better than advertised. I mean, the only thing I would criticize about it would be, I wish Durant kind of just picked a better team. Like I would have liked to seen like a Steph versus Dame matchup type of thing. You know what I mean? Because you look at both; they hit 16 threes altogether. They hit like 8 threes each. It would have just been nice to see like a battle like that between those two caliber guys. But you had Giannis out there with unlimited amount of dunks and going 16 for 16. Yeah,
he doesn't miss like
3 for 3 from 3. Like, since when does Giannis hit threes? But with the athleticism and the shooting ability, the scoring ability that these guys can display, even just watching Kyrie Irving, with he had 12 assists last night. Chris Paul had like 16 assists, something like that. So, like, to watch these guys, do their thing at the highest level with the highest caliber of players surrounding them is just really fun to watch. I get it. If you're looking for competition, then no. You know what I mean? But what I did is I just put some money in I invested money into the game, make it interesting.
Right.
And then boom, you got a little bit.
Dude, I couldn't take my eyes off of Steph. I couldn't take my damn eyes off of Steph, dude. Like, and we'll get into him in a 3-point contest in a little bit, but oh my God.
He's unreal, man.
I agree with you, dude. Like, I felt so bad. Now, I know, was it like the quarters, like, how like the first quarter was $50,000 or whatever for Team LeBron? Are those HBCUs they're going to, or is it just a charity they're going to? Because I know that a lot of HBCU was involved in the All-Star night.
I think they were doing like a mixture of charities and HBCUs. So it was like kind of a mixture each quarter, or like each team had different ones.
Yeah. So I felt so bad for Team Durant's charities and all, because they're like, come on, dude. And then even the third, I believe it was the second half, the third quarter, Team Durant comes out and they're taking off on Team LeBron. It's like 16-4, 15-4, whatever. And then boom, see ya. They were probably like, I felt so bad. And even when you just look at the starting five, like, I don't have it in front of me, but Team LeBron was like Bron, Joker, Luka, Steph, Giannis. And then Team Durant, obviously he's out. Joel's out. So that kind of puts a damper on it all on how he picked. But then it's Kyrie, it's Bradley Beal,
Tatum, Zion.
Yeah, like I'm watching and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I guess that would be the one thing is like the people that were missing. Like I would have loved to have seen like a Devin Booker out there. Ben and Joel, obviously, we would love to see. And a side note on them being out, I actually was minorly pleased that they didn't get to play because in this season, you know, as ironic and as unlucky as the Sixers are, I just really didn't want them playing in that meaningless game. So that was kind of a
relief,
a blessing in disguise is what I would call it, because it was kind of upsetting to not see Philly represented in the game. You know, you see guys like Gobert and Mitchell out there. I have like a vendetta with them now, which I
can't stand
after that Jazz game, but I can't stand those guys. I think they are morons. And I think our duo will go at them and dominate them every single time we play them.
I agree.
Yeah, when Joel and Ben locked in on them, it was a wrap in that game, and you saw it. And then you had my man Tobias close it out. But I did just want to throw that out there. I have a lot of hate in my heart for Utah and the Utah Jazz. They were actually a team that I was kind of rooting for.
Their fans are the worst too. Hold on.
Yeah, their fans are the worst.
I screenshotted this tweet, and you keep talking, and once I find it, I'll let you know. It's a Utah fan being pissed off.
And then while you're looking up tweets, how about that girl from Barstool talking about Joel and Ben?
She's the worst, bro.
My God, dude. Like, wishing it on them, basically, because they
Trisha or whatever her name is.
Like, I did not understand that. But, you know, I think that was the other thing with the game, you know, just missing guys like Devin Booker, you know, Kevin Durant. It's guys you want to see in there, but this league, you know, I talked about it last week on my show. This league is blessed to have as many high caliber, you know, players in this league. I mean, it's almost unlimited. There's probably 30 to 40 different guys you could have made a case to be on the All-Star teams.
Yeah. Well, I have the tweet here, and Nadir, if you can comment real quickly, how do you know Rudy Gobert is a good guy?
I don't know, Nadir.
He's the same dude before COVID came out that thought it was funny to wipe his hands and cough all over the mics and everything and make a joke, and then actually had COVID.
Right.
And it was the start of the shutdown in the NBA. So I'm not saying that makes him a bad guy. He didn't know he had it, whatever. But can you explain how you know he is a good guy? Very annoying guy, I can tell you that. Not an all-star, I could tell you that.
Yeah, and you know, maybe that's the thing is like he's so reliant on his defensive presence. And I think that's why he gets so much heat. You know, mind you, he's a great defender. I'm not going to lie about that. His length is ridiculous.
Any lengthy, athletic 7-foot dude can block shots.
Yeah, and you know this BS with him. You know, they're talking about he's defensive player of the year.
Yeah. Well, you know, you are on every Monday, so we didn't have you on after the OT win on Thursday. But no defensive player of the year, at least my defensive player of the year, gets cooked for 40 in all three levels of the game from 10 throughout OT. Okay? No. So stop. And then another defensive player of the year candidate got dropped by Shake Milton the game before in Miles Turner.
Right.
So, all right, Mike doesn't like the All-Star game. You know, everyone's entitled, you know, some people like it, some people hate it. I like it. I mean, I thought it's
like pace. For me, it's like something that I can have on the TV while I'm doing other shit. You know what I mean? Like I can just have it playing there. I'll keep a side eye on it and just watch it while I'm doing other stuff. Yeah. Like that's all. I was just talking to my girl yesterday, drinking a few beers and watching the game on the side. It's just, you know, nice to have entertainment there. I mean, you think back to when the pandemic first hit and we had nothing. Like we talked about it before the show, you know, with the
it feels like that today.
Yeah, there's nothing really going on today, but oh my God, man. Come on, Nadir. Every week, dude. It's something new. Oh my goodness. You guys are cocky.
Yeah. So ready? So I'm not gonna call this dude out. He definitely doesn't know our show or is watching, but I'll still, you know, UJ man 1232. Okay. After the game, he tags, and by the way, his profile picture is him in a Jazz hoodie and hat. So so he's a Jazz fan. He adds Mark Zumoff and Allah and says, "You two are trash announcers. Shame I had to watch the game listening to you two idiots. Clearly the NBA and its rules are beyond your scope of knowledge. You two are just mouthpieces with zero basketball sense. At NBC, do better. at NBA official trash tonight.
Crazy to me, man. It's crazy because
And the best part is, did you see how the NBA, like the officials or the NBA came out with their report of the call and said they were right?
yeah.
Like, so normally, like, I get it. Like, normally we've had some bad call, like, and then they come out 2 days later and they go, oh, yeah, that shouldn't be called. Well, thank you. Like,
Right.
in this case, they reviewed it and still told you the answer. Like, dude, their fans are annoying. Their team is annoying. Apparently, they're not cocky and we are. I don't know what. Apparently, Nadir knows these guys on a personal level.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I can't get behind that, after the actions that Donovan Mitchell and Gobert. Donovan Mitchell said that they won that game. How self-entitled is that? You got yourself kicked out of the game, but you won the game, but you lost because of the ref. No, you acted like a child.
Right.
At the end of the game, Joel Embiid called him out for it. I guess that makes him cocky.
You also
up a guy that's throwing a fit on the court.
You also went 0 for 9 in the last 8 minutes of regulation with 2 turnovers. Probably the refs weren't the reason. You know what, dude? You made 21 threes. The Sixers made what, 8?
Yeah.
You had 39 more points simply off of 3-pointers. Okay? It's not like the Sixers got to the line an insane amount of times that night, and that's what kept them in the game all throughout the game. Your team, led by you, blew multiple double-digit leads throughout the game, blew multiple double-digit leads in the fourth quarter alone. You guys allowed it to get to overtime and then came out with no juice in overtime and got outscored by 1 player.
And it's funny, Donovan Mitchell threw that fit right there just so he could blame it on the officials because the game was already over. We had already hit the shots that we needed to hit in crunch time. So he was just getting kicked out of the game to make this scene and acts like a total fool. Goes on the sideline, hits a water container at an event staff. Like, this dude is a dick. Like I don't get it. I don't get how you can say he's a good guy. No. And
you also didn't like LeBron's comments. That was hilarious.
Yeah, LeBron's funny for that, for even saying that stuff. But I'll point 2 things out about what you just talked about. With the officials in that game. You look at the 6 calls that they kind of went over in that last 2-minute report. Two of the 3 calls. So 3 calls were kind of in Philly's favor. 3 calls were in Jazz favor.
Sure.
One of the 3 calls that weren't called, the kick ball, wasn't called, and the Jazz got the ball anyways and made a shot at the end of the shot clock. So in reality, we could have reset our defense if they called. So my point is, looking at those 6 calls that they reviewed, we are the ones that didn't get our fair share. And then the other part of it is, this guy talking about our reporters for NBC and Mike down there just said the same thing, acting like Utah announcers aren't trash.
Yeah.
They were on that same broadcast talking about Gobert should be in the MVP conversation. Indeed. That's ridiculous. Like, who's really wiling it and who's really trashing it? Like, yeah, man. Like,
you know what I love? Scott, I feel like you've kept this pen up since the Jazz game, bro. Have you done a pod? Have you talked about this pod since the game?
No.
You've kept this pen up. You've got this pen. You had to get this out. This is hilarious, though. Also, that game, Mike up here says the 3 by Embiid, and I said this on Thursday's show. No other center in the history of the league could do that. And I don't mean hit a 3-pointer or hit a 3-pointer over somebody. I explained it, and I'll say he was in the post with 8 seconds left, back to the basket. The play's breaking down. Your teammates aren't moving. He recognizes it, dribbles away from the basket behind the 3-point line with Bogdanovich on him. I know he's smaller, but Bogdanovich is in his mitt. Dribbles back, pump fake double clutch, buries it, dude.
Ridiculous.
Like, literally ridiculous. There is a conversation, it's not Sixers related, that I want to get into, though, revolving concerning the 3-point competition. I feel like it's kind of universally known. I feel like you're gonna have the same opinion as me, although I'm not for certain on this. Who is the greatest shooter of all time in your opinion?
That's a loaded question. No, but yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, Steph, easy.
Dude, I really don't think it's a conversation anymore, dude. I really don't. Like, I get it. Like,
yeah.
Like there was the Larry point, but like he was also, I don't know, Ray Allen, Reggie Miller. Like you have the guys, and it's like, dude, you can't watch what he does and think he's not the greatest shooter of all time.
When you
I get it's a 3-point competition.
When you factor the distance of his shots as well, like it's ridiculous.
Hold on. And take away the 3-point competition and go to the game. He gets the pass from LeBron between the A and the R or the A and the T. The A and the T, I believe. And buries it standing still. Then, in the second half, he does the same thing on a turnaround. Ken said, besides me, it's Steph. Get your ass up out of here and go coach your team, you bum. You bum. So he hit the same shot, but on a turnaround jumper from the logo. Dude, it is insane to me. Another part of the All-Star weekend and thing that, like, I know the TNT crew can kind of bother us, when Shaq and Charles try to get on Joel and all that stuff before and after games, but I like listening to them throughout the competitions and the game. Like, I feel like it's just very raw because they're not like game announcers. They're not game broadcasters.
Right.
They're just analysts. And when they do it, like throughout the competitions, it's very raw. Reggie Miller doing the game is very, like, I just like the energy. Like when Steph starts heating up and you hear Reggie Miller start going off, or when you hear Shaq and Kenny messing with each other throughout the skills competition, and Covington loses and Shaq's like, see Kenny, there you go. I don't know, man. I like the weekend normally.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy those guys. I mean, they're national broadcasts. I mean, the way I look at it, I would rather have them than like the ESPN crew, like Doris.
I agree.
And like, that stuff is like,
yeah, dude.
nauseating.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna get some hate from that, but.
Well, did you see what Shaq also said about like Joel Embiid missing the All-Star game as well? He was basically saying how he was really disappointed that Joel Embiid missed the All-Star game because he wanted him to get All-Star MVP, Finals MVP. So he's rooting for Joel. So I mean, in that sense, like I like that Shaq is rooting for another center. Sometimes they are a little ridiculously harsh on these players.
Oh, of course.
And they're headline grabbers for sure.
Speaking of Donovan Mitchell, I know we've hated on him, but when he was on the TNT crew after the game, Shaq tells him, like, I forget word for word, but like basically, you ain't it.
Yeah.
And Donovan Mitchell's like, okay. And Shaq's like, that's all you got to say. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's, first of all, awkward as shit.
Yeah.
Second of all, like, you don't got to do that, dude. But like, when it was just very raw. They're funny to me when they do it, and so, yeah. And then
embarrassing them, you know what I mean? Like after a win on top of that, like it was just unnecessary. But
yeah,
now that in hindsight, I approve. So
yeah, I still like the 3-point competition. I like the game. I can do without the skills competition.
Yeah, they've like altered it, so
they've watered it down. There's no time, which it's kind of fun when there's no time because like you're going head to head, and it's like you got to hit the last shot before the other one. But like, dude, did you watch Luka do it? Like, you want to talk about no competition? Like, dude, he didn't he didn't do anything.
Right.
So that was so watered down. I didn't like that, and the dunk contest. Man, they need to do something to fix it, because that is like the headliner, I feel like, of All-Star Weekend for a lot of people, and it has been rough, like really, really rough. From the judges, the scoring, now, I didn't even know this until they were talking about last night. If you don't have control at the rim, it doesn't count as an attempt. Did you know that?
No, I did
Yeah,
not.
they were saying that last night. So if you go for a dunk, right, and let's say you try to put it through your legs and you come up, and let's say when he puts it through his legs, it just goes off his hand and he doesn't have it at the rim. That doesn't count as an attempt anymore. You need to have control. How is that not an attempt? I don't get it. It's so watered down. The scoring the judges make no sense.
Zero sense.
What? Cassius Stanley's first dunk was the best dunk of the contest. And what did he, a 44 or 45 or whatever it was?
Yeah, it was ridiculous, man. And that one hurt me because I was actually rooting for Cassius Stanley because he's a Duke boy. But that man has bounce, and he jumped and put the ball in between.
Yes, and the same leg.
Off of,
yes, someone tweeted that and was like, "You don't realize how hard that is to do."
Yeah, it was great talent.
He put it under the same leg he left the floor off of. It was the best dunk of the night, and it got a 44. I don't understand it. And I'll say this: I know Obi Toppins came off the second attempt in the final round, and I know it wasn't anything you haven't seen before. He left. He jumped from inside the free throw line, and then I think put it through his legs and slammed it or whatever. I'm sorry, that dunk was better than Anthony Simon's dunk. Listen, his bounce is incredible.
Yeah,
the first one he did to go up and get the ball off the mini hoop that they had up there, I get it, great bounce. The second one, everyone's freaking out that he almost kissed the rim. Who cares? Now, if he would have kissed the rim or came that far away from it, I would have been holy shit, right? But all he did, threw the ball up, went up, got his face this far from the rim, and just slammed it. And that one?
Yeah, because at that point, going against Obi Toppin, he's already at an advantage with just being shorter. You know what I mean? So the higher jump, it's always going to get weighed more heavily. Yeah, I do agree with some of the points these guys are making as well. Is you don't have the star power in it anymore. You know what I mean? Cassius Stanley, to Abe's point down there, he hasn't really played this season. For him to be in the dunk contest. When I saw Anthony Simons in the dunk contest, I didn't even know that he could dunk. I swear on everything. I didn't know that he was this guy with bounce on Portland. I know he could shoot, but maybe shame on me for not knowing that. But
yeah,
and then Obi Toppin, he's a big guy, but you got to get the names in there. You got to get the guys like Zion, Ja Morant. People that will attract your attention and create excitement. Not to just shame these guys, these, I don't want to call them no-name guys, but it's not who you want to see. Look back in the day, you would see Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady, even Michael Jordan, Dominique Wilkins. These guys were doing the dunk contests, and it's guys like LeBron, Zion.
Do you think injury just plays into it? They don't LeBron's never done one, correct? I'm not.
No, he's never done one. So
do you think that plays any role into it?
If it does, I don't, you know what I mean? No, I don't, to be completely honest, I don't, because you see LeBron and he'll do these crazy in-game dunks, putting the ball down here, just reversing it. So it's not
he's already a dunk champ. He's already dunk contest champion. So he's
dunk champion of Philly.
I wanted to comment on this one for a second. If he's talking about the first one, when he grabbed it off the top, one that they hooked up to the backboard, I get it, cool. And the second one, when he almost kissed it, he didn't go above the rim. So my point is, no offense, but congrats, you got bunnies because you're 6'2".
Yeah,
that doesn't win you the dunk contest. And again, I'm not saying Toppin's last dunk was out of this world. We've seen stuff like it before. But if I'm comparing a dude throwing the ball up, going up to get it, and having his head 3 feet away from the rim, wasn't literally 3 feet, but it was 2 feet away from the rim. He really didn't come that close to kissing it. He came about that far, and that's pretty wide from the rim. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, I just look
Something
back
like this. So yeah, Miles Bridges, John, Zion.
Yeah, Miles Bridges is a guy. He might have the most bounce in the league. You know, he's up there. But so that was a good point. But yeah, I mean, you compare Simons to like Nate Robinson. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even close. Like it's just not the same anymore. There was no, you know, there's not as much showmanship.
I get it. He's got bunnies at 6'2". That's shouldn't.
Like, yeah, they wouldn't put him in the competition if he bounce. You know what I mean?
Like that doesn't win you the dunk competition.
Yeah, I think Gentz has a good point there with LeBron. You know, if LeBron would just sign up, that would what it is it would poise competition. So like Zion's not going to enter the dunk contest if he's going against Obi Toppin and Anthony Simons and Cassius Stanley. He only has, you know, credibility to lose at that point.
Right. Yeah.
It's not like he's going to gain
nothing to win.
Dunk contest. Like, so, you know, when you don't have the competition now, if Ja joined in and then Miles Bridges comes in and he's like, yeah, Zion's not going to dunk harder than me. So then, you know, that will inspire Zion to go out and show everybody like, yeah, I am this big guy with the bounce. So it is, you got to get you get one big name, then you'll get
if other Levine did it again.
Yeah, Levine. I mean, oh my goodness. Yeah.
That was probably the last, to me, the Levine and Aaron Gordon, the show back and forth was the last one that I can like remember and was like, okay, that was exciting to watch. Mike says Zion in the dunk contest would have been the highlight of the weekend. So better dunk contest would have. Let's move on though. That we recapped All-Star Weekend. We talked about Ben and Joel testing positive for COVID, or not testing positive, close contact tracing for COVID. All right. I don't want to scare anyone. Let's talk about the team that's on your head, the team that I can't believe I'm actually wearing their apparel. The Philadelphia Eagles. So obviously the Wentz deal is done. Jalen Hurts, second-round pick last year. There's a large portion that wants him, thinks he's the guy. Some still have to see it, like myself. But I would stick with him. I've said that before. Like whoever before Carson, you traded Carson. I wanted Carson, but whoever you go with is the guy you have to pick. You can't. If they would have picked another quarterback at 6, I would have slammed my head off this wall. Okay, like I can't do it. So Jeffrey Lurie comes out today and says that he's basically told everyone, we are going to build around Jalen Hurts. He's the guy this season. And then how long after do reports come out that they might move Brandon Brooks?
Yeah.
Kind of counterproductive, don't you think?
Yeah.
I get it. He's over 30 now. He's like 31, 32 years old. So he's getting older. This is another major injury. It's not like he's had a bunch of small ones. He's had like 2 or 3 humongous injuries that are hard to come back from. So who knows? He could get hurt next year. Moving him, I heard earlier, apparently only saves about $2 million in cap space.
Yeah.
So you don't get this big reward from moving on from him. So why in the hell would you trade maybe the best and most athletic guard, or right guard for that, in the National Football League from protecting the guy you want to build around? Don't make the same mistake you made with Carson. They didn't build around Carson. I think that's obvious. They never went out. The one season that you could say they built around him was the Super Bowl year. And look how they produced, right? I mean, the Alshon signing, Blunt, Ajayi. But at the same time, you could say they just got more out of those guys than anyone. Did anyone think LeGarrette Blunt was going to be that guy that year? Now, the Ajayi training midway through the season, yeah. Okay. Torrey Smith, I get it. But after that, and even before that, they tried to bring in Mike Wallace. Like, these things just aren't going to work. So don't make the same mistake with Jalen Hurts you made with Carson Wentz, and actually build around him. And I'll throw this to you, Scott. You will know how truthful Lurie and this organization is being with the 6th overall pick in the draft. You'll get your answer right then and there. If they go anywhere except wide receiver or Kyle Pitts at 6, they're not building around him. Now, I know you could say, well, if they drafted a corner at 6 and pair him with Darius Slade, that'll make our defense really good, and that is helping him in the team. Or you could say, I know who's the lineman from Oregon or wherever he's from.
Penny Sewell.
Yeah, and I've heard nothing. Like, people are like, if he's there, you just have to take him. And I get it. That would be protecting Jalen Hurts. I get it. But to me, you need skill position if you're going to build around him. Bottom line, that is Chase, that is Smith, or that is Pitts. One, if not more of them, is going to be there at 6. If they do not take one of those 3, and you could throw, they trade back and get Waddle.
Yeah.
I don't know. If they don't take a wide receiver or Kyle Pitts at 6, I think you have your answer there. Thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm with you there. First on my list, the way my list would probably go, Chase, obviously. Chase is the guy that I want.
I agree.
We never have had a wide receiver that can do it all. You look at Rager, he's not a wide receiver 1. He is, and I'm not saying that he's not a talented guy. He's just not a wide receiver 1. He's a gadget guy. He's a get a guy in space, deep threat, if you want to call him that.
If he can learn how to track a deep ball.
Yeah, exactly. And what I'm saying is I want a guy, that has played in the SEC, has played thorough competition. You look at this guy who outplayed Justin Jefferson, in his final year at LSU. Justin Jefferson, look what he just did to the NFL. So when I'm looking at this draft and maybe, with Jeffrey Lurie coming out and saying this, it's almost counterproductive because it's like, don't trade up in front of me, to get a quarterback because we're not going quarterback anyways. Maybe he's blowing smoke so that people don't draft the quarterbacks in front of. I don't know, as far as that, but yeah, best case scenario for this Eagles team is letting Jalen Hurts start all next season. You let him get his feet under him. If he's the guy, then that's awesome because 2022, I saw Mike D saying we don't have much cap room. That's true this offseason. 2022, when Carson Wentz contract drops off, we are going to have a lot of cap space. And what that means is if we can nail this next draft, that's a big ass if. That's huge.
Yeah, that's a huge if and if.
Huge if. But let me even simplify it even further. If they can just get a star with that 6th pick, and I'll even go as far as saying just get a star. Like just get a star. Whether it's on defense, Michael Parsons, Caleb Farley, Surtain. If it's Chase is at the top of my list. Pitts, Smith, Waddle, those guys are all ahead of defensive players for me. But if you just get a star, we need talent on this team at the end of the day. Best case scenario, you get to next offseason, 2022 offseason, and Jalen Hurts is still your guy. He performed well. Maybe you were a middle of the pack team. And then you have potentially 2 first-round picks. If Carson Wentz does us any favors in Indianapolis, we'll have 2 first-round picks. And we'll go into 2022 with 2 first-round picks.
And then you got to nail that
space. And you still have a quarterback on a rookie contract. So, and then, the flip side of that is that Jalen Hurts flops. He's not that good. He's not the guy that we thought he was. You draft a quarterback next year when you have 2 first-round picks, right?
Here's my issue with that. If he flops and he's not the guy, and so far from what I've seen, listen, now he is my quarterback. I'm going to root for him. I was rooting for him to fail in the Final Four last week or last season. I haven't seen enough at all from him to say he's a franchise quarterback so far. If he's not the guy, what was all of this for?
Yeah.
If he's not the guy, Why did you take him in the second round?
Yeah.
If he's not the guy, why did you create the biggest organizational failure the city's ever seen? And Carson Wentz is wearing white and blue now.
Yeah.
Now, and it's a double-edged sword here. Carson Wentz could go to Indy. This is two things that I said need to come true for this not to be the biggest organizational failure ever. Those two things are Jalen Hurts is a guy or the guy, and you were right about Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz going forward is 2020 Carson Wentz, not the Carson Wentz we've seen in the past, okay? Those two things need to happen. Or at least Jalen is the guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Scott, could you imagine if Jalen Hurts isn't the answer and Carson Wentz goes to Indy and balls out?
A lot of people will be eating words.
What did you do this for? Is my point. So I think he needs to be the guy. And if he's not the guy that picked him to be the guy better not be picking the next quarterback in 2022 or 2023. And I fear that he will still be doing that. That is my issue with this organization. But to get back on topic a little bit, you can tell me your thoughts on everything I just said there. You said you'd be okay with them going anywhere at 6. And you know what? Like I said, if they draft Surtain and he is a lockdown number 2, I'll get to that question in a second. If he's a lockdown number 2 and, you have him across from Darius Slay, I get it. Now that's a big ask. Okay.
Yeah.
But I truly believe, you don't get to pick at 6 often, dude. You don't have Jamar Chase's and Devontae Smith's and Kyle Pitts don't come out of thin air often. Okay. Yeah. And I've lately been talking myself into Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, same.
Because at first I was like, well, you have Goddard. So for all the tight end 1 Dallas Goddard people out there, if you think you're right and you want to move on from Hurts because Goddard, then why are you going to draft another tight end when we so desperately need a number 1 wide receiver? So I wouldn't take him over Chase. But if Chase is gone and it's him or Smith, I think we have a conversation to be had there. So my point is, the only way you can come out and tell me you're building around Jalen Hurts is if you get someone that directly impacts and influences Jalen Hurts' play, and that is someone he can target next year. That's my opinion. I get it. Patrick Surtain could be a lockdown corner, and he would impact Jalen Hurts because he would impact the team. But when you tell me you're building around him because he's your guy, you have to give me someone that's going to directly influence his play. So let's talk about this for a second. I'll throw this to you first, and then I'll go. What's the guy for you, Scott?
So I guess, I'm not expecting the world of him next season, right? We got a lot of holes on this team. What you would expect, I imagine, is just better than what you saw last year with Carson Wentz. It can't be like that. That's the worst quarterback in the league. If he can just be like a middle of the pack guy with this roster, then they'll probably move forward with him in all reality. We want to see basically what you would be looking for with Jalen Hurts, right? We already know he can run. That's not the problem. We know he can scramble. The question is his arm strength, throwing accuracy. So you want to see improvements in that. And to your point, I agree that you go and you get somebody that directly helps him with that. I mean, that's what doing right by a guy that's at the quarterback position is. But as far as being the guy, taking steps, look at Carson Wentz rookie year. He didn't have these overwhelming numbers. I think he threw 16 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, but he commanded the locker room. You saw it was his team. He did show us glimpses of eliteness. So it's just little things like that. You'll know that he's your guy. It's not going to be by a win total. It's not going to be by, him going out and throwing for 4,000 yards, running for 1,000. It's not going to be something like that. So tamper your expectations in that sense. But the intangibles and better, just better looking in the passing game, making him improvements on the throwing ability. So as long as we're seeing those things, you're going to know if you believe that that's your guy. And, there was no argument after that 2016 rookie season by Carson Wentz that was our guy, right?
Right.
Now, mind you, part of that is
man.
the draft capital that we gave up as well.
Exactly. That is my whole point too with number 6, like getting someone that directly influences him. You also do that like by if drafting one of the Pitts, Chase Smith, whoever you take there is someone that he can directly influence too.
Exactly.
So let me answer this question. Is being the guy Super Bowl or bust for me? Winning a Super Bowl is not an easy thing to do. There's been Hall of Fame quarterbacks, great quarterbacks that have never won a Super Bowl. Football is the ultimate team sport, in my opinion. So no, it's not winning a Super Bowl or bust. The guy is a guy that's going to have you in a position to compete for a Super Bowl year in and year out. Does that make sense? That's the guy for me.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz may never win a Super Bowl. But let's say he goes out in Indy and for the next 3 seasons, they're in AFC championships and a Super Bowl appearance. And because it's not easy to win a Super Bowl, okay? But to be in a position to compete for a Super Bowl, that's the guy. Make sense?
Yeah.
And I just don't. In 4 games, I didn't see it. Is 4 games enough to evaluate Jalen Hurts? No, it's not. I agree with you. He needs to play the entire season. But the only thing that bothered me, because I am a Carson stan, I am going to miss the hell out of Carson Wentz. I think he goes to Indy and balls the hell out. And I think we're going to regret this. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm losing track of thought. And
what I would say is, to your point, with Jalen Hurts only playing 4 games last year, everybody was kind of blowing and hyping that up. It was good in some ways and terrible in other ways. The completion percentage, the turnovers. What I would say about last season is that, about last season and going into this next season is basically that there's a lot of unknowns. We're talking about some huge ifs here. And, I think when it comes to Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts showed me nothing that says he's better than Carson Wentz. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's where I was going with it. Yeah.
Now maybe he is better for this team than Carson Wentz, because we had those offensive line issues last season. What I would say about last season in general is that was a 4-win team.
Yeah.
It's not fair to judge either of those quarterbacks off that season. That's a bad team around them.
So real quick, and I'll throw it back to you in the final minute or two. That was my issue. That's what I was trying to get to. It's not that Jalen Hurts bothers me, because now I'm going to root for Jalen Hurts. He is my quarterback of my favorite team in the city. But it was for all my friends that I've argued with, people out there that I've argued with, that when Carson was playing so poorly, the team was a result of Carson. And insert Hurts or insert another quarterback, and the team's better, and the team can win, and it's all Carson's fault. And then Jalen comes in, and it's this. Oh, no, bro. It's exactly what you just said. You reminded me of what I want to say. It was a 4-win team. It's the offensive line. It's the wide receiver play. It's the play calling. It's everything. And you saw that as a result of both quarterbacks. And I said it from the moment they did it. Everyone tried to tell me, sit Carson down for a game. Sit him down for a second half when he's not playing well. Get his head up. No. The moment you made that switch was the moment he would never be the quarterback for this team again.
Exactly.
And then what happens? Jalen Hurts lights the world on fire and takes down the Saints.
Right.
And, that could end up either being a great thing if Jalen Hurts turns out to be the guy, or it could turn out to be one of the worst game wins ever for the city if he's not the guy, because it kind of forced your hand to stick with him and everything. And I don't think that's talked about. That New Orleans Saints win is going to dictate the future of this team for better or for worse.
Yeah.
So final thoughts on that, Scott, and also to wrap up, moving Brandon Brooks, smart but stupid. What do you think?
I get both sides of it, I guess. If you're trading him, you're going under the estimate that he's going to get injured again, right? You don't trade that guy when he's the best guard in the league when he plays. So if you trade that guy to save $2 million, I mean, you're just counting on him getting injured again, not being the same guy for the rest of his career. Now, mind you, next season, if it's a whole different story. If you were to cut him or trade him, they would save a bunch more money. But I agree overall. You don't take the best lineman on your offensive line away from your young quarterback that you're trying to surround with talent. Two other final notes on the Birds. I would just say that, Jeff Lurie coming out and saying that about Jalen Hurts, wanting to surround him with talent, that could be one of two things. It could be blowing smoke to make teams not trade up to draft a quarterback so that a quarterback may fall to us. It could also be another thing where he is pinning Howie Roseman to that Jalen Hurts pick. You're going to live with it, and if this does not work, you're going with it. You know what I mean? So maybe it is a sign that Jeff Lurie is getting to that breaking point. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm totally wrong. That's probably more likely, but I did just want to point out those two kind of factors with that statement that he put out there.
No, that's great stuff from Scotty. You can follow him on Twitter at Scotty Drown. Scott, tell the people where they can find your work. You got a show coming up tonight, so tell them about it before we head off.
Yeah, guys. Hop on over to YouTube. By the way, you set the alerts, set the notifications for the Daily Dose. Go ahead and set them for my show too. Scotty Talks Philly Sports on YouTube. I host my NBA show every Monday. I cover the whole league. We'll be going over mid-season awards tonight. Follow me on Twitter at Scotty Drowned. You'll see the live link right there. Come in, comment, share your questions. We'll get them all answered. But thanks for having me on once again, Dylan.
No problem, man. It's great having you for Mondays with Scotty. Gint will be joining us back next week. For myself, you can follow me on at Twitter at DylanJD98. Subscribe to the Painted Lines YouTube, Twitch accounts. You can follow them on Twitter at the Painted Lines. And head over right now to wherever you're watching us and check out the Tough Cover Pod with my man Mark. He's going to be giving you the best bets if he's on tonight. I don't remember if he's taking the night off, but he will be back later this week if he's not. For myself, for Scotty, have a nice night, everyone.